Hi, welcome back to Fast Forward to the Future podcast. In today's episode, I had the honor of talking with Irina Verlan, an AI ethics advocate, about using AI ethically. Hope you enjoy. So, can you tell us more about ethics in AI and how to use AI ethically?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with what are ethics firstly. So ethics are the principles and values which helps humans in order to make decisions and also impacts our behavior. How it impacts our behavior? Basically, each time when we need to make a decision, we need to choose between what is right and what is wrong. When it comes to AI ethics, imagine that when we are developing and deploying an AI tool or product or service, we need to understand what is wrong, or let's say what is right and what is wrong in that, let's say, product, service, and so on.
Wow, it sounds complex, but I'm sure we'll get a better sense of how to use them in this podcast. So, can you share with us the 8 principles of ethical AI?
Sure. Actually, everyone is saying that there are more than 8. Some of them are saying that there are just 3 of them because of the importance. Some of them says that it's like 5, 7. So I think that there are 8 which I identify as the most important ones. Let's start with the transparency one. So basically, when we are talking about the transparency in AI ethics, we need to understand that that product or service or tool, which is developed on AI, basically it ensures us all the information that we need in order to understand how that tool, product, or service is operating. So it has the right amount of transparency in order for us to basically understand how it interacts with us, or we are interacting as a user with that product, tool, or service. So this is the transparency one. Moving forward, I would say that the second one, which are there is no, let's say, which one is the most important. No, there is no ranking. I would say that all of them are important equally. Moving forward, I would say the second one is the privacy one, which ensures us that each time when we are interacting with the tool, which is AI based, there is the right amount of privacy to our data, and each system which has at the base this AI tools, they need to basically explain to us what they are doing with our data and to ensure the right amount of privacy. Moving forward, there is the safety and security principle, which talks about how secure is that tool, product, service when it operates in terms of our data. It's again about data. It's quite closely related to the previous principle. Another principle is around fairness and bias, which I think everyone knows about it because of the many case studies around this one. And basically this one ensures that each tool or product or service which operates with AI needs to basically ensure the right amount of fairness. And here is connected with those values and principles which I mentioned before. And when we are building basically an AI ethical tool, platform, whatever, it needs to have this principle embedded because it needs to ensure the right amount of fairness, honesty, and transparency, of course, again, when it comes to us using, and not to discriminate based on, I don't know, race, based on sex, geographical position, and so on and so forth. Another ethical principle when it comes to AI is related to reliability, which means that basically a system which is designed on AI needs to have the right amount of resilience when it comes to diverse situations. Either they are like natural or basic or human, let's say, provoked. Another principle, and I'm continuing. Another principle, and there are many of them. Another one is around human-centric design, and this one is quite interesting because each time when we are developing an AI tool, product, or service, it needs to be focused on the human need and benefit, most importantly the benefit. So each time when we are doing something with AI, we need to understand that this needs to be at the benefit of the individual, but also the society. And the last one is the environmental one, which means that we need to basically develop and deploy AI products, tools, and so on, which ethically do not harm the nature, or it helps basically to protect or enhance, let's say, some aspects of it, I would say. So it's quite a lot of discussion around these ones, and we can continue, because if you will search through the internet, you will find that there is like a lot of principles.
Yeah, I also searched and there were so many, but I think these are mainly the most, well, not the most important, but the ones that we encounter the most. And I'm really glad you shared those with us, because this kind of leads me to my next question. I think that a lot of people are going to be less, I guess, anxious about AI when they hear that there's so many principles that AI is based on, so that it is used ethically. So what are some key global regulations regarding the ethical use of AI?
So across the globe, since the AI started to be so, let's say, a hot topic, our regulators started to think about, okay, we need to do something about it, in terms of like we need to embed some guidelines in order to use the AI tools ethically. And there are multiple of them. In Europe, you are aware maybe that there is GDPR, which is closely connected to the AI regulation, because it's connected with the privacy principle. So GDPR is one of the regulation which is basically working in this domain in order to ensure the privacy. It's not directly mentioning the AI, but we can connect to that. Another regulation is like right now the European Parliament is working on is the AI Act, which is also a work in progress, I would say. Like a couple of days ago, it was actually voted in the Parliament, so we are waiting to understand what will happen next. Across the globe, there are like, I think each developed country started to embed basically into their local regulations some frameworks or guidelines in order to operate ethically when it comes to AI. A couple to mention is in Canada. Australia also has some framework around it. Japan. USA is also working on the, let's say, one piece of regulation, but it's still work in progress. But there are multiple guidelines which are talking about the AI and also using ethically AI systems. And the last one, I would say that it's UNESCO, which is talking about AI ethics, and it has quite a good documentation around it. So yeah, I would recommend to start with this last one, because it has quite a lot of good information around AI ethics.
That's great to hear, especially that so many countries are sort of embracing AI and trying to create a framework, as you mentioned, that is, I guess, in a way sustainable for AI, or ethically, of using AI ethically. So AI is in a lot of industries right now, as I'm sure you're well aware of that. So how does ethics in AI shape industries like education and healthcare?
I would say that these are the most impacted ones right now, not to mention that these are just these two, but the most impacted. And I would say when it comes to education, there is a lot of good benefits when it comes to implementing AI. And there are multiple universities across the globe where they already implemented AI services, tools, and so on to deliver basically a personalized content to the students. Another benefit can be the fact that basically they have access remote to some content, which previously you needed to go to the library in order to check. Now all those data are available one click away, which is good, I would say. And actually during the COVID, the pandemic, it started to be more and more used. So this is not a new thing, I would say. And in terms of the benefits, another benefit is the fact that each student also can receive content by request, which means that if you are interested in some particular information, you can interact with a chatbot, let's say, which is AI infused, and you can receive like super personalized content just for your needs. The challenge here, which I would like to mention, is around data security. When it comes to this aspect, I think we need to be cautiously about this, because ethically speaking, there is a lot of data, and we need to understand if all that data is good when it comes also in special to education. I would like to mention some, let's say, some case studies maybe. So just to give you like a flavor of what's happening in this domain of education. There is a well-known app which helps you to learn new languages, and it has a lot of let's say good things which are like based on AI. Yeah, they are like running on AI. And the first thing is the fact that you can get personalized path in order to use that language, to learn that language. Another aspect is gamification. So the app learns how you interact with the app, and it gives you points, crystals, or other things which are funny and interesting and makes you to use that app more. But the end goal is basically to learn a new language, and it helps you to learn a new language. And I saw people on the internet who are bragging that, yeah, I'm already 200 days on this app and I'm so happy with that. So it's a good, let's say, it's a good aspect of how AI can basically impact the education aspect. When it comes to healthcare, I didn't forget about that. It also has a lot of benefits. So healthcare has a lot of data, and there is, with this amount of data, you don't have enough people basically to process them. So you need some help here. And when it comes to this domain, one aspect is basically the effectiveness of giving you an answer when it comes to analyzing your data. And this is a good thing, I would say, because when we have this effectiveness, means that you can access care much faster. Yeah, you do not need to wait a couple of weeks or months in order to understand what's going on with you. So you can go basically and benefit of care immediately, or maybe some treatment and so on and so forth. The challenge here, challenges are everywhere, I need to mention.
Yeah.
The challenge here would be the fact that, first of all, you don't know how accurate are those data when it comes to, let's say, some treatment to you. So question mark here, yeah? That's why we need ethics to basically ensure that data are not biased. Yeah, super important that they are not biased. And secondly, that they are operating with like security, privacy, all those principles in mind. And in healthcare, there is actually a company, I would not say it's a company, medical service provider in Romania who already embedded AI into their system, and they are providing to you, once you do a radiology, yeah, you can basically receive much faster an opinion, and basically it's like the effectiveness is enhanced, I would say. So there is a lot of things happening in these two domains. We can talk and talk and talk and talk.
No, I'm really glad, especially about the education aspect, because obviously as a fellow high schooler, I felt that a lot of people are kind of shying away from, or they don't want to embrace AI because they kind of perceive only the negatives. When in reality, I feel like there's so much positive of, implementing AI, especially if used ethically. I think the possibilities are endless of doing something great with it.
I have this, when I'm mentoring kids for different hackathons, I have this example of a hammer. So you can use a hammer to harm yourself. I know it sounds bad, literally like, yeah, you can harm yourself, or you can use the hammer to open a nut, yeah? So depends what you are doing with the tool. A tool is just a tool. We are giving the meaning to that tool, and we are also basically using that tool. So it's up to our decision how we want to use that tool. In my opinion, working with AI it's our benefit. It's on our benefit, because basically, at the end of the day, if you are a schooler, yeah, or like student, let's put it this way. If you are a student, you can do much faster research. You can work on to find much faster, or maybe different information. And when I mean different information, I mean starting from diagrams, details, different maybe high-level studies, and so on and so forth. Also, it can help you with your resume if you want to hire, like if you want to get hired. You can get coaching. Yeah, you can learn a new language, yeah, based on your preferences and tailor to your needs. So there is a lot of benefits, I would say. Exactly. So it's just a tool at the end of the day.
I'm so glad you said that. So how can we address the ethical implications of job displacement caused by AI technologies? I've read a study that in May of 2023 in the US, about 3,900 jobs were lost because of AI, but also I feel like there's a positive in this, and this has happened before. And I just want you to tell us more about how we can overcome this.
I think change is not, it's not easy to change. I think for us as humans and as a society is actually quite hard for us to change. So when it comes to job displacement, I would not say it as a, I don't want to say that this is bad or good. I think we need to shift our focus in another direction. And the direction should be what we can do at this moment. So because jobs were lost in the past, when the computer appeared, there was many jobs which disappeared, and they need to do the transition. And those people who lost those jobs in the past, they did the transition. But what did they do? Did they start to cry? No, that's not an, it can be an option, yes, sometimes, but it's not an option, I would say. So what we can do is basically to upskill ourselves, learn new skills, why not, and start investing this energy in this direction. I would suggest to go it in this way. There is a lot of conversation around this topic, and it's normal to have a conversation around it because we are humans and this basically impacts our lives. But at the end of the day, we need also to focus on what are the solutions, to this, let's say, dilemma.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. So how do ethical considerations come into play when considering the impact of AI on human evolution?
That's a challenging one because our behavior is impacted by so many things and so many factors. At the end of the day, I cannot mention how many things are impacting us. But one thing which I would like to say is that AI definitely will impact our decision making. One way we will maybe make fast decisions. Yes, this will upspeed our decision making process. But from another point of view, we will need to also train ourselves and educate ourselves to make those decisions in the right manner or let's say right to us. And I will give an example, yes? So we can use AI in order to maybe analyze a lot of data, and that's good, that's a good thing, because it helps us. This upspeeds a lot of processes, and also it gives us the benefit of time, in this situation. But when it comes to decision making, let's assume that we need to basically have some decisions around, environment, So we need to be mindful about that. We need to take into consideration a lot of things, because yes, we can use AI, to enhance the agriculture, but at another point, on another hand, we need also to understand that the decision which we are making maybe is not harming more, So I would say that behavior will be affected definitely, but I would add to be mindful when we are making those decisions. So we need to think before making those decisions.
This is actually a really hard question. When I first started looking and kind of doing my research for it, I felt like there wasn't enough information, but also there's so much you can say because it's quite recent, right?
Yeah, because AI, let's assume, so first of all, machine learning exists for many years. It's not a new thing, And at the end of the day, it helps us to do a lot of things, good things, but on the long term, we cannot predict how they will impact. It's upon each one of us to educate ourselves in this direction in order basically, to behave and also to understand what we are doing. I would like to give an example here because I think it will be quite good. There is a company which collects data, which is based on basically scanning your retina, your eye, and they give you some coins or something. They give you some digital coin back, which is not, I would say, if this is informed, it's nothing bad in that. But if we are educated enough, we need to understand we need to question ourselves. What will happen with those data? I mean, biological data, what they will do with that. And of course, we need to start, making decisions when this happens to us. And how you can make a decision when you educate yourself that there is privacy principle, So security data, yeah, if those data are stored securely, if they are not trading those data, and so on and so on. So we need just to educate ourselves in order to understand what is happening. And this is just one example. There are plenty of examples when it comes to AI ethics, and they are actually ethical dilemmas, because from one point of view, they can collect this data in order to maybe enhance the healthcare, yeah. But from another point of view, you don't know what they do with those data. If you didn't ask, I don't know. Personally, I didn't ask, and because it was not related to me. But if you don't know some information, it's basically can work for you, or of course it can work in a different way.
Yeah, it's always better to be informed, especially with such a technology.
Yeah, and educate yourself.
Yeah. So, what ethical strategies can there be implemented to eliminate or at least drastically reduce bias in AI systems? And here I'm talking about like hiring processes or lending and criminal justice.
Yeah, that's a good one. We need to be very much. So the short answer is around data, yeah, because when it comes to bias, it's basically the bias comes when the data which were infused into that AI tool platform, so on and so forth, they are, let's say, biased from the beginning. And it's a part of our human behavior, because guess what? Those data are collected by humans most of the time, yeah? So what strategies can we have in here is the fact that we need to apply the same ethical principles. Comes again, yeah, nothing fancy, I would say. It's around transparency, yeah. So we need to ask ourselves, are those data collected explain how they were collected, yeah? Can we do anything to enhance those data, so we can avoid bias, yeah? Or another one can be how we can basically build a framework in order to secure that those data are good enough in order to avoid bias. But I would say it's not a problem of a system. It's a problem of us humans. And I just remember that I forgot about accountability principle. Yeah, so I will mention right now. This principle ensures that when it comes to AI data, yeah, and not only, who will be responsible for that platform, service, product, and so on, who developed and deployed, and so on and so forth. So when it connecting those two pieces, yeah, so we need also to embed a strategy which says that before taking care of this fairness and bias, who will be accountable if those data are not let's say trained properly, yeah? At the end of the day, I'm well aware of those well-known studies which they made some let's say biases during hiring, yeah. But I'm also aware that there is a lot of people who are working in order to create a framework to ensure that this bias will not happen in the future.
That's great to hear, because I mean the examples that I read were quite a long time ago, and I'm sure that companies are taking more strict measures in making sure these things don't happen as often as they did.
So I think it was a learning, it was a situation, they acted on it, of course, and there was definitely a learning up on that.
That's great to hear. So this leads me to kind of my next question. So how can individuals or people that don't necessarily work in this field or don't know that much about it, how can they ensure that they're using AI ethically? How easy is it? Can they implement it? Is that something easy to do?
So I think we will get back to we will get back to the start of our conversation when I was mentioning that ethics are basically those principles and values which each one of us has. So if we want someone to use AI responsibly, we need to basically educate that individual in order to have the proper values, yeah. So they will act responsible when it comes to using AI tools. So it depends on each one of us, to get educated. And also, I would say that it's also important to give the right amount of information to those individuals who are using these AI tools. And it's not just tools, it's apps, services, and so on and so forth. If you are well educated and understand those principles, which are basically driven from your values, yeah, you need to basically act accordingly, I would say. So it's the short answer is education.
Great, because that leads me to my last question. So, as I mentioned, I'm a fellow teenager and high school student, and a lot of kids and middle schoolers and high schoolers, or even students, are watching this podcast or listening to it, and
Awesome.
they want to know how can they learn more about this topic? Like, what resources are there available for them? Because I feel like even though there's so many websites, it kind of can be, I think, overwhelming, especially with such a vast topic like AI, because it's all something that we don't know as much as we would like, I think, and it's something that's relatively new. Well, it's been for a while, but it's relatively new to like the public and like public use, I guess. So can you tell us more about like those resources that they can access?
Sure. I think that one thing which the generation, all of them which appeared after the internet, let's put it this way, have one big benefit out of it. They can operate with these tools and learn something much faster than our parents, or me including, yeah. So back on my times, which sounds very maybe oldish, I needed to go to the library, yeah, in order to do some research, and it took, maybe it will take hours and hours and hours. Now it's just a click away, yeah. One thing which you mentioned, and I fully agree with you, is that there is a lot of information out there. Like if you will go on the internet, there is a big amount of data, yeah, about anything. So I would suggest as a resource, first of all, let's build a framework, yeah, when it comes to educate ourselves. And this framework should be based on some questions. When we are looking for some data or information, or we are looking to educate ourselves, I would ask myself, do I trust this provider of content? So it's a good question to ask, yeah. Do I know who are the authors behind this article or piece of paper? Or do they have any, let's say, record, yeah? You can check different tools where you can learn about that author, yeah? Another question which someone should ask themselves when they are looking for information, it would be, did I hear before about this? Like, do I have any notion about this? Yeah, so I would build this framework with these 3 questions. And after that, when I start the research, I would go to some, let's say, well-known resources. And I will mention a couple of them just to, to help the fellow teenagers and students in order to start some from where. One good platform for learning is Coursera, maybe you're aware. edX, it's another one. Khan Academy, yeah, it's also a good one. Beside that, I would suggest to check all those big names, Ivy League universities. Most of them have a dedicated page when it comes to AI or AI ethics, and MIT it's one of them. But there are plenty of others which I would recommend to check. Yeah, beside that, I would also check the communities. Because we have internet, we can check a lot of communities, not only in like our part of the world, but also globally. So we can check communities, we can enroll in those communities, we can get in touch with people from that community. Of course, being mindful, yeah, and safe. So always being mindful about safety and privacy. So if you like, I would not recommend to do some to go on some, I don't know, shadow forums to look for the information.
Sketchy websites.
Yeah, I would avoid that. Maybe there are like university forums, yeah, high school forums. There is safe to enroll. Yeah, I know maybe it's not so catchy. Maybe you will not find some juicy news there, but you will find the right people there from who to learn. Yeah. So I would suggest these communities. Always check if that community is legit. Yeah. And always be mindful about your privacy and safety. On top of that, I would go and check local hackathons, local circles, if I may say it like this, I don't know, circles for chess, robotics, technology. There are like workshops. It's not circle, was maybe on back on my days. Workshops which are like in relationship to robotics, technology, chess, and you will find like-minded people from who you can learn. And the last thing I would say, find mentors, look for mentors who can basically mentor you in order to, upskill yourself and learn new skills, and not only maybe to borrow some values, because values are also important for us as humans in order to shape ourselves when it comes to future. So this will be all the resources. On top of that, you can add books if you are like passionate about reading books. If you are not, you can go with audiobooks. If you are not passionate about books or audiobooks, you can go with resume. There are plenty of apps. By the way, a lot of them are AI infused, so they can give you so you summarize of the book, so you can also read in that way. But read, just go on, I would say read. So there are plenty of resources. And once you have the right framework, you can go and basically check and develop yourself.
Thank you. It definitely seems less overwhelming that you mentioned these like 4 big categories that people should try and look for resources. It's great. I just have maybe one more question. If you can like detail more about hackathons, because we talked about this before filming, and because to me it was a bit of, I don't know, I was never really aware how hackathons really work, and maybe you can tell us a bit about those and how they work for maybe if there's someone else out there that doesn't know exactly the structure of a hackathon, maybe?
Sure. Thank you for asking this. That's a nice thing, I would say. So there are, in Romania, but not only, there are a lot of hackathons online and physical, which anyone can attend based on the age. There is a differentiation on the age. And these hackathons basically are, you can have a team, like you can build a team, you and your friends, or you can enroll as an individual and be a part of a team. And what are the benefits of going at the hackathon? At the hackathon, basically, you are learning by doing, which is a good experience. And for me, it always works. And if I'm doing something, I'm learning faster. So once you are enrolled in that hackathon, you are assigned to a team, or you have your team, and you start working on a product, which can be AI infused or not. It's up to the team. But you don't need to know everything, because that's the power of the team. When you are basically a part of a team, someone knows the coding part, someone knows maybe the creative part, someone is better with the business part, because you need a business part. Someone is better maybe with the leadership part of it, because you also need to have someone to arrange and also manage all the things in that team. And during the hackathon, you have attributed basically, you have mentors, and usually mentors are around product, it's around business, it's around marketing and communication, market research. It's also important in a hackathon, but not only. Design thinking and AI ethics, if you also have a product which is deployed or developed based on AI. So all of these mentors will basically help you, guide you in order to make your product viable, and to, at the end of the, depends, 3-4 days, 1 day, depends on the hackathon, you go and present your idea to a jury, and they will vote, and if you win, basically you will go to the next round. And there is always let's say I would know how to say, you are winning something, it's a prize. It's a prize, you have a prize. So basically at the end,
you also have some external motivation, I guess.
But what happens in reality is that if you are an individual who is assigned to a team, I saw situations where basically they first of all, they become friends, because it's also an important part. You start making friends, learning new things, and also you are teaming up with like-minded people, which is also important. But on top of that, you are learning how to do a product. And my opinion is that once you start earlier, you have more time in order to basically crack the let's say the process for making up a business or I don't know, developing a product. It's not necessary for you to know everything, because during the hackathon, that's the, I would say, the beauty of it. You learn to do multiple stuff, yeah. And the winning part, I would say, the prize part, I would say it's also rewarding, because if you are a winner, basically you can also think, oh, maybe this idea I can also develop, like I can also deploy it in real life, let's put it this way. So in terms of hackathons, I know a few of them which is happening in Romania, but there are also global ones. There can be hackathons where you need to participate physically, and also you can enroll yourself for online. The online is, they are also good because you can team up with people from all over the globe, yeah. And one hackathon which I can recommend to you is Teens in AI, which they basically are doing. They are developing this type of approach for students, scholars, yeah. And they are giving this opportunity. You can enroll if you are based in Romania. They have one in Bulgaria, they have in Morocco, they have all over the globe. And it's easy to enroll, yeah, so it's not something hard. It's just a form and you need to enroll yourself. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Thank you for clarifying once again what hackathons are, because I also agree that learning by doing, at least for me, but I'm sure for a lot of other people, is kind of the best way to learn, especially since you said you met new people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's great to hear. Thank you so much once again for coming to my podcast. This was such an insightful talk, and I'm so happy I got the chance to meet with you and talk about this really interesting topic.
Thank you for having me. I almost lost my voice.